People love to talk about betrayal like it is a clean event, something you can point at and say, here, it happened right there. But real betrayal is slow. It moves like water under a locked door. It gathers quietly until one day someone you trusted is standing on the other side and you don't recognize their voice anymore. Elena never expected her family to fracture this way. She was 42, steady, ordinary, someone who packed lunches at 6 in the morning and ironed uniforms when everyone else slept. Her husband David had always been polite, distant, maybe, but she believed distance was just personality, not danger. Their home was warm because Elena made it warm. She planned birthday surprises, she knew which daughter panicked at math and which one secretly cried over a friend who ignored her. She was the kind of mother who paid attention, even when nobody thanked her for it. So when David started coming home late, Elena didn't jump to jealousy, she tried to be reasonable. Maybe work is crushing him, maybe he's tired of talking. She did what loyal people do, she gave benefit of doubt until it hurt. The change started with whispers. Their oldest daughter, Grace, suddenly stopped asking her mother anything. The 12-year-old who used to read poetry in Elena's bed now sat in corners, texting someone new. The younger two, Lily and Ava, followed their sister's coldness without understanding it. One evening, while Elena folded laundry, she overheard them arguing in their room. "She's not Mom," Grace snapped. "But Dad said." "I said she's not Mom." Elena froze. She stared at the basket of clothes, tiny shirts, leggings with stains, and felt her stomach tilt. If I am not Mom, who am I, and who is replacing me? That week, David introduced her. A woman named Jessica, younger, glossy, the kind of beauty that seems designed for hotel lobbies and filtered photos. He brought her into their children's lives before Elena even knew about the affair. And somehow within days, those children, her children, had called this stranger Mom, loudly, proudly, deliberately. Elena did not scream, she did not run. She just stood in the kitchen doorway watching Jessica braid Lily's hair like she owned the right. And David watched Elena watching, almost daring her to react. By morning, a new accusation arrived. "You make Dad unhappy," Grace said flatly. Jessica said adults need to follow their hearts. It got worse. David began complaining that Elena's presence made the kids confused and anxious. He told her maybe she should give everyone space. 2 days later, he asked her to leave the house. "Stay somewhere else until they calm down," he said, voice cool. Elena felt something rip from inside her chest. "My children want me gone. My husband wants me gone." She packed a single bag. She did not touch the girls' rooms, she couldn't. Right before she reached the door, Lily appeared at the stairs, 7 years old, hair messy from sleep. "Dad says you have to go," she whispered. Elena bent down, searching her daughter's eyes. "Do you want me to go?" she asked gently. The child swallowed, confused, scared, like someone trained to repeat lines she didn't understand. And when Elena stepped outside, suitcase rolling on cracked pavement, she saw something. David, Jessica, and the 3 girls gathered in the doorway like a new family portrait. Elena walked away in silence, but her mind whispered a single promise. Truth has a way of coming home, and when it does, it breaks the locks. The hotel room smelled like old carpet and cheap air freshener. Elena sat on the edge of the bed, holding her phone like it was a wild animal. She waited for one text, one message from any of her daughters, even a confused emoji, even a "when are you coming back?" Nothing came. So she replayed that moment on the sidewalk, 3 girls clustered around a woman they barely knew, repeating a word that used to belong only to her: Mom. She tried to explain the pain to herself. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they think loving me will upset him. Maybe this is pressure, not conviction. But another voice, quiet and older, answered her back. Or maybe they're being conditioned. Elena didn't sleep that night. The silence kept rewinding memories. Grace at 6 with missing teeth. Lily learning to tie shoes. Ava asking to be rocked even at 5 years old. How could loyalty dissolve in 1 week? In the morning, she made coffee she couldn't drink. She stared at a family photo on her phone, their last trip to the coast. David wasn't smiling, not really. His arm hung behind her shoulders like an obligation. She had mistaken that arm for love. By noon, her sister Sophia arrived. Unlike Elena, Sophia didn't believe in quiet endurance. She saw patterns, she heard motives. "He didn't just cheat," Sophia said, dropping her purse on the table. "He planned a replacement. That woman didn't appear yesterday. She's been in the kids' heads for months." Elena's breath stopped. Months. Sophia nodded. The way those girls spoke, it wasn't spontaneous. Someone rehearsed it. Someone told them you're the problem. Someone gave them lines. Elena covered her mouth. My own children memorizing words against me. Sophia squeezed her hands, grounding her. I know you want to believe they chose this, but kids don't make moral judgments that fast. Someone fed them a story. That was the first time Elena cried, not the shallow tears of shock, but the deep, body-breaking sobs of a mother who felt erased. Later, Sophia drove her to a lawyer, a calm woman with sharp glasses and sharper instincts. The lawyer listened carefully, then asked one question that changed everything. Has Jessica ever worked with children, therapy, tutoring, coaching? Elena blinked. She said she runs a family wellness group teaching confidence. The lawyer paused. Confidence or influence? The word influence slid through Elena's bloodstream like ice. She remembered Grace repeating phrases that sounded too polished for a child. Adults should follow their hearts. Love is not ownership. Some women trap men in unhappiness. Where had she heard that last one? Jessica, that day in the kitchen. The lawyer leaned back, voice thoughtful. If a third party manipulated minors against a parent, especially using emotional coaching or therapy techniques, this could be deeper than infidelity. This could be coercion. Coercion, another sharp word, another crack in the story. Elena left the office shaken, but with a new realization burning inside her. David didn't want space, he wanted control, and maybe he didn't act alone. She needed answers, she needed evidence. That night she finally worked up the courage to call her oldest daughter. Grace answered, but her voice was flat, strangely rehearsed. Dad said you're trying to make drama, she said immediately. He says you need help accepting things, don't cause stress. Don't cause stress, the phrase landed like a script. Elena swallowed her heartbreak. Grace, listen to me, I am your mother, I love you, I raised you. Silence then. Jessica said real mothers don't cling. The phone nearly slipped from Elena's hand. She forced her voice to stay steady. I'm not clinging, I'm here, and I'm not disappearing because someone wants a new storyline. Grace didn't respond, and then before Elena could ask more, Grace whispered something fragile, barely audible. Mom, I'm not supposed to talk to you. Panic crashed through Elena. Who told you that? But Grace ended the call. The room spun. Her daughters weren't rejecting her, they were being trained to distance themselves. And suddenly the betrayal stopped being about heartbreak, it became survival. Elena wiped her face, stood up slowly and looked in the mirror, a tired woman, yes, but not defeated. If they think I'll walk away, she whispered to her reflection, they don't know who I am. She reached for her coat. Because tomorrow she was going back, not to beg, not to fight. To watch, to listen, to uncover. And to catch someone in a lie. The next morning, Elena returned to her street long before sunrise. The air was damp, the neighborhood still asleep, but she stood across from her own house like a stranger studying a crime scene. She knew this wasn't just heartbreak anymore, this was influence, manipulation, control. She waited, lights were off, curtains shut, but she knew the routine. At exactly 6:45, Grace would step outside to wait for the school van. David hated school drop-offs, so Elena had handled mornings for 12 years. Now Jessica would try on her routines like they were clothes. The front door opened. Grace emerged wearing her backpack, hair tied too perfectly, like someone new had ordered symmetry. Jessica followed behind her with a bright tone that sounded like a commercial. Remember, positive mindset, Jessica said, smoothing Grace's shoulders. Positive mindset, Elena flinched, therapy language again. Grace noticed her mother standing across the street. Her face reacted, eyes widening, mouth tightening, but she quickly masked it like someone trained to suppress instinct. Elena raised her hand in a quiet greeting. Grace hesitated, then lowered her gaze to the pavement and stepped closer to Jessica. Elena didn't move toward them, she waited. She wanted Grace to see something. I am here, I am not ashamed, and I am not disappearing. The school van arrived, and Grace climbed in without a word. She never looked back. Jessica did. Her smile faded, revealing something sharper underneath, ownership. She put one hand on her hip like she was guarding territory. Elena read the message clearly, you lost. After the van left, David walked out in his suit. For a moment he looked just like the man she married, calm, distant, unreadable, but this version had calculation behind the eyes. You shouldn't be here, he said, voice clipped. Elena held steady. Why am I violating the rules of Excel? That irritated him. You need time away, they need clarity. Clarity or conditioning, she asked softly. David's jaw clenched. Don't start drama. She tilted her head. That's the third time someone connected to you has used that word. Interesting pattern, rehearsed pattern. For a second he faltered, just slightly. That hesitation confirmed something. He wasn't improvising this breakup, he was executing a strategy. I want to talk to the girls, Elena said. Not today, he replied immediately. Lily had nightmares after you left. You destabilized her. Let us heal. Heal from what? From having a mother. Elena swallowed her fury. Nightmares happen when children feel torn. Someone is telling them loyalty is disloyalty. Someone is telling them love is stress. Jessica stepped forward, smiling like a kindergarten teacher. Children sense emotional imbalance. Elena, your energy disrupts everyone. Maybe you should seek personal help before coming back. Energy imbalance, personal help. These weren't casual words, they were therapeutic labels, diagnostic labels, weaponized labels. Elena stared at the woman who had stolen her family, not with rage, but with precise observation. How long have you been coaching them? She asked evenly. Jessica blinked. Coaching. Grace quoting real mothers don't cling. Lily telling me I make dad unhappy. Vocabulary far above their developmental age. That is coaching, Jessica. David stepped in. Enough, you're projecting. Elena held his gaze. You think silence protects you, but patterns leave trails. For a moment, a flicker of something fear crossed his expression. He covered it quickly. Leave, he said, or I'll call someone. Call who? Elena asked. The police, and tell them what? That a mother stood on her own sidewalk. Jessica exhaled sharply, irritated. Elena, just accept that this marriage is over. Elena nodded slowly. The marriage might be over, but motherhood is not negotiated. She turned and walked away, not defeated, just studying. Something in her shifted that morning. She was done pleading, done grieving. She was collecting evidence. By afternoon, Elena met with the lawyer again. She brought notes, phrases she heard, shifts in behavior, Jessica's background. The lawyer listened, expression tightening. You said she runs a family wellness group. Elena nodded. The lawyer typed quickly, searching records. Then she angled the screen toward Elena. There it was, the family wellness group, a small organization Jessica co-founded. They offered life coaching, emotional literacy seminars for children, and something that sent a chill down Elena's spine, parent-child emotional realignment workshops. The lawyer leaned back. Some of these programs are controversial, borderline unethical. A few cases even mentioned parental alienation. Elena felt cold. Parental alienation, meaning separating children emotionally from one parent. Yes, the lawyer said, usually to gain loyalty for the other parent or a third party. The room spun. That's what happened to me. That's exactly what happened. The lawyer continued, I cannot promise outcomes, but if we prove emotional manipulation, especially involving minors, the court will not like that. Judges take alienation seriously. For the first time in days, Elena felt her spine straighten. There was a path, a fight, a legal recognition of what she suspected. But the lawyer added, you need evidence, messages, statements, recordings, anything. Elena nodded. She would document everything. That evening, Elena received a text from Ava, the middle child. It was hesitant. Hi, Mom. Nothing else, no emoji, no punctuation, just 2 words filled with fear. Elena typed back slowly. I miss you, I love you, are you okay? 3 dots flickered, then vanished. Then flickered again. Finally, Ava replied. I can't say, they said don't tell you stuff. Elena's chest tightened. Who is they? She forced herself not to panic. I am here whenever you want to talk, she wrote. You never have to hide from me. No reply. But Elena stared at those 3 lines like they were a crack in a locked door. Ava reached out. Ava slipped. Ava exposed the rule, don't tell mom stuff. That wasn't childhood independence, that was secrecy training. And children forced to keep secrets always break eventually. 2 days passed, silence from the girls, silence from David. Elena used that time like ammunition practice. She researched Jessica's seminars, she visited online parent forums, she read testimonies from families affected by alienation. She learned manipulation often starts with labeling one parent as emotionally unstable, telling children your mother causes anxiety, rewarding rejection, reframing love as clinginess, teaching kids to distrust empathy. Every bullet point matched her home. And anger, steady, concentrated anger formed inside her, not the kind that lashes out, the kind that strategizes. Late at night, filled with quiet determination, she began writing in a notebook dates, quotes, behaviors. She was building a record. On the third morning, she returned to her street again. This time she stayed in her car, she watched. And she saw something new. Jessica wasn't affectionate with the children, not naturally. She was performative, exaggerated praise, exaggerated philosophy. She corrected their language constantly, like she was shaping them into disciples. Elena noticed another detail. The girls looked anxious when they pleased Jessica. That wasn't love, it was tension. Children don't hide joy, children hide fear. And suddenly, Elena saw the truth. They weren't choosing Jessica, they were surviving her approval. That realization steadied her breathing, because fear-based loyalty collapses the moment safety appears. And Elena planned to become safety again. She whispered to herself in the quiet car, "They stole my place by force, I'll earn it back with truth." She stepped out of the car, crossed the street and approached her own front gate, calm, slow, deliberate. Because today she wasn't there to observe. She was there to interrupt. Elena stood at the gate, not knocking, not yelling, just existing. Presence is sometimes the loudest confrontation. She saw curtains shift upstairs, then footsteps. A moment later, tiny Lily, peeked through the glass window by the door. Her face lit up for half a second instinctively, like a child recognizing a safe person. Then fear wiped it away. She stepped back, disappearing from view. The door opened, not by a daughter, by David. His expression was irritated, but there was something beneath it, panic buried under authority. "Elena," he said tightly, "this is harassment now, you're creating tension." She kept her voice calm. There's a difference between tension and accountability. He stepped outside, shutting the door behind him as if hiding something. "Do you want a restraining order? Because this..." She cut him off quietly. "You won't get a restraining order against the mother of your children without evidence. And frankly, David, the only person exhibiting controlling behavior here is you." A nerve jumped in his jaw. "I'm protecting the girls." "By censoring them?" Elena asked. "By telling them not to speak to me? By introducing a new woman and forcing maternal language in 1 week?" David's eyes narrowed. "No one forced anything, the girls like her." Elena held his gaze. "Does Lily like her, or does Lily fear upsetting you?" That landed like a stone. David took a step closer. "Go home, you don't belong here now." Elena didn't flinch. "This is my home, my name is on the deed. My children live here, my memories live here." "The past is gone," he snapped. She smiled, not with softness but with understanding. "You're trying very hard to rewrite history. People only rewrite when they're afraid of facts." The door opened again, and this time Grace stepped out. 12 years old, shoulders stiff, eyes pretending confidence. "Dad, Jessica needs help with the breakfast prep," she announced loudly, like she wanted Elena to hear she was part of the new household. Elena swallowed the ache. She didn't react. Reacting gives power. Grace looked at her mother and recited without breathing, "I don't want contact with you right now. Please respect my boundary." Boundary, a therapy term, learned, not lived. Elena nodded slowly. A boundary prevents harm, it doesn't erase a person. Grace blinked, uncertain. The sentence didn't fit the script she'd been fed. David placed a hand on his daughter's arm, guiding her back inside. But before Grace stepped away, Elena spoke, not to reclaim authority but to plant thought. "Has anyone told you you're allowed to love 2 people at once? Or did someone tell you love must replace love?" Grace hesitated, her first unscripted pause, then the door closed. Elena exhaled shakily. Every second of that interaction felt like emotional surgery. 3 hours later, Sophia joined her at a cafe near the house. She ordered tea she didn't drink, mind spinning. "You saw their eyes soft," Elena said, voice cracking. "They're not angry, they're scared to disappoint someone." It felt rehearsed, word for word. Sophia leaned back. "Children can be manipulated fast, but manipulation has a flaw, it breaks when reality enters." "How long before reality enters?" "When one of them feels unsafe," Sophia replied. "Fear is a short-term weapon. Kids get tired of being afraid." A waitress passed by, and Elena stared out the window, eyes burning. "Do you think I failed them?" she whispered. Sophia placed her hand over hers. "No, you didn't fail. Someone invaded your home and used psychological warfare. You're reacting like a mother trying to protect without destroying." Elena closed her eyes. She remembered every birthday, every night she sat by feverish foreheads, every haircut, every school project. None of those memories had Jessica in them. Yet 1 week of influence threatened to rewrite 12 years of attachment. 2 days later, Elena received a call from the school. The voice was professional. "Mrs. Ramirez, can we ask why you are no longer listed as primary pickup on the system?" The girls mentioned a change in guardianship. Elena's stomach turned. Guardianship. "I didn't authorize any change," she said carefully. The school administrator lowered her voice. "And the girls said you are unstable and need time away. We are required to notify you when comments like that are logged." Unstable, another term from psychological vocabulary. Elena's throat tightened. "Can I come in?" "I think you should." She hung up and stared at the wall. Labeling her as unstable wasn't just personal, it was strategic. It weakened her legal footing, it framed her as unfit. This was more than an affair, this was conversion. She grabbed her purse and left immediately. The school office was quiet. The administrator met her privately. "Somebody told the girls to report emotional instability," she said gently. The phrasing was sophisticated, not their natural language. Elena's hands shook. "This is my nightmare. Someone is scripting my children." The administrator nodded. "It sounded like coaching. We're mandated reporters. Emotional manipulation of minors is not taken lightly." For the first time, Elena felt the institutional world tilt toward her, not pity but concern, credibility. "Thank you," she whispered. "May I ask," the woman added, "who is Jessica?" The girls referred to her as their mom. Elena inhaled sharply. "She is not their mother, she is my husband's mistress." The administrator's eyes flashed. "Then we need documentation. Write down every statement the girls made. Times, dates, tones. Do not confront them directly, just record." Elena nodded. Evidence again. Everything pointed toward building a case. After leaving the school, she walked toward her car. Halfway there, she heard footsteps. She turned, and there was Ava, her middle child, standing near the courtyard wall, hiding, trembling. Elena froze. "Ava." The girl looked around like a frightened bird. "I can't talk long." Elena bent down, keeping her distance so Ava wouldn't panic. "Okay," she whispered, "I'm listening." Ava wrung her fingers. "Jessica told us you make Dad sick. She said your sadness ruins energy. She said we have to choose happiness. She said moms who cry are dangerous." The pain hit Elena so hard she nearly lost balance. Dangerous, crying is dangerous. She kept her breath slow. "Ava, sweetheart, feelings are not danger. Sadness doesn't hurt people. Sadness is human." Ava swallowed. She said, "If we love you, Dad won't heal." There it was, the core, the conditioning, the fear. Elena steadied her voice. "Your father doesn't need healing from love, and you never need to choose between parents. Anyone who tells you to choose is lying." Ava's eyes filled with tears. I wanted to hug you, but Jessica watches us. She says she'll cry if we talk about you. She says we hurt her growth." Growth, emotional hostage-taking. Elena felt fury bloom, controlled, targeted fury. "Ava, listen to me. Love doesn't punish. Love doesn't demand silence. Love doesn't control." Ava looked at her mother helplessly. "I'm scared." Elena's voice broke. "I know, baby, but I'm here. I'm not leaving you. You did nothing wrong." They stood like that, two broken hearts separated by system and secrecy. Then a shout echoed across the courtyard. "David!" "Ava, get over here." The child flinched. She backed up, eyes apologizing without words. Before disappearing behind the wall, she whispered a final sentence, one that detonated everything inside Elena. "She reads our journals." Elena nearly staggered. Privacy invasion, emotional surveillance, psychological possession. And suddenly, the story sharpened into something undeniable. Jessica wasn't loving the children. She was owning them. When Ava vanished, Elena stood alone in the courtyard, breathing like she'd run miles. Tears slid down her face, but they weren't tears of defeat. They were the tears of clarity. This wasn't just parental alienation. This was psychological grooming, emotional conditioning, coercive persuasion. And Elena whispered to herself, voice trembling but resolute. "They stole my children through fear. I will get them back through truth." She turned toward her car. Because now evidence wasn't her mission. Elena didn't call the police. She didn't storm into the house. She didn't confront Jessica or David with rage. Rage makes people sloppy, and sloppy parents lose battles they should win. Instead, she drove to a place she hadn't visited in nearly a decade, her old therapist's office. Back then, therapy had been about postpartum anxiety and exhaustion. She remembered sitting on that sofa, apologizing for crying. Now she walked in with her head high, asking for something different, professional documentation. The therapist, Dr. Maya Solis, listened with unwavering attention, not emotional gossip, clinical intake. Jessica has inserted herself into the children's emotional ecosystem, Elena said quietly. Language manipulation, fear-based attachment, forced loyalty, surveillance, the journals. Dr. Solis raised her hand gently. Slow down, tell me one behavior at a time. Elena did. She didn't embellish, she didn't dramatize, she described patterns, repetition, coercion. After 20 minutes, Dr. Solis leaned forward. Elena, what you're describing is consistent with induced parental estrangement, and if she's using emotional therapy vocabulary without licensing, that crosses into unethical psychological practice. Elena swallowed. Can this be proven? Yes, through statements, timelines, and the children's language. Children don't naturally speak in clinical dichotomies. Sadness is dangerous. Love disrupts energy. That is adult imposition. Elena closed her eyes, feeling both relieved and terrified. And the journals. Reading children's private emotional material to regulate their behavior. That is psychological intrusion. The therapist paused, choosing her words carefully. I am not your lawyer, but as a clinician, my professional opinion is, this is emotional abuse. Elena felt something break, like a locked door bursting open. Validation, truth, language for pain. Can you document this session? Elena asked. I can, Dr. Solis said, and if the court requests it, I will testify. Elena exhaled a slow, steady breath. She wasn't fighting shadows anymore. She was fighting documented harm. Over the next week, Elena shifted strategies. She stopped begging for access. She stopped hovering outside the house. Instead, she created paper trails. She wrote letters to the school summarizing statements made by her children. She requested academic counselors observe behavioral changes. She filed a preliminary consultation with a family attorney specializing in alienation cases. And she prepared witnesses, her sister, the school administrator, the therapist. Through all that, silence persisted at home. No call from David, no message from Grace, no apology from Lily. Except one secret crack. Ava texted again. I am sorry, Mom. Elena responded gently. You never have to apologize for loving me. A few minutes later, another message came. Jessica said crying is manipulation. She said you cry to make Dad guilty. Elena closed her eyes, weaponizing tears. She typed back. Crying means the heart is processing pain. That is not manipulation, that is honesty. Ava wrote. She said honesty hurts people. Elena responded. Honesty doesn't hurt people, lies do. And for the first time, Ava sent a sticker, 2 hands holding a heart. Small, fragile, rebellious. The breakthrough came on a Wednesday afternoon. The school called again. This time it wasn't administrative, it was urgent. Mrs. Ramirez, the voice said, Lily is in the counselor's office. She had a panic episode. Elena's breath stopped. I'm coming now. She arrived within 10 minutes. A counselor guided her to a quiet room where Lily sat curled on a beanbag, knees pulled to her chest, eyes red and swollen. The moment she saw her mother, something instinctive happened. Lily ran into her arms. No hesitation, no scripts, just a child reaching for safety. Elena held her, every muscle trembling from restraint. She didn't pepper her with questions. She didn't ask for explanations. She whispered the only thing that mattered. I'm here, you're safe. Lily sobbed into her neck. After a long while, the counselor spoke softly. She said she feels she can't please everyone. She said she has to smile even when her stomach hurts. She said if she loves you, she betrays her dad. Elena's tears slid silently. Children don't invent such conflicts, they absorb them. The counselor continued. She also said someone told her sadness is a threat. There it was again, the same psychological doctrine. Can I take her home? Elena asked. The counselor shook her head gently. Custody lines are unclear, but you can sit with her as long as she wants. Elena sat, she held her daughter. She breathed slow so Lily could match her rhythm. Finally, the little girl whispered, Mom, I thought if I smiled enough, Dad would be proud, and if I called her Mom, Dad would stay. Elena closed her eyes against the pain. You don't have to earn love. Love is not a performance. Lily sniffed. Then why is Jessica always saying we have to vibrate happy? Vibrate happy, language so unnatural it sounded like a self-help manual. Elena stroked her daughter's hair. Sweetheart, happiness is not vibration, it's freedom, and you are not free right now, you're pressured. Lily's hands shook. Am I bad? Elena lifted her chin. You are pure, you are trying to survive grown-up confusion, that takes bravery. A knock came. David stood at the doorway, face tight, jaw locked. Lily, get your things, he said. The girl stiffened, her fingers clung to Elena's sweater. That tiny instinct, a hand refusing to let go, was enough proof for any court. Elena met David's eyes calmly. She is frightened, listen to her. She's tired, he snapped. She needs rest, not emotional stimulation. The counselor stepped in, firm and professional. Sir, your daughter experienced anxiety related to emotional role pressure. She needs comfort, not correction. David looked irritated but cornered. Professionals were watching now. He forced a stiff smile. Of course, we'll get ice cream, right, Lil? Lily didn't move. She buried her face deeper in Elena's shoulder. This wasn't defiance, it was desperation. The counselor quietly documented everything. David finally ordered, voice low and sharp, let's go. Lily pulled back, cheeks wet. Mom. Elena kissed her forehead. You can see me anytime, no one can block your heart. And then Lily left, eyelids swollen, steps heavy. That night, Elena sat in her car outside her apartment. She felt hollow but not hopeless. The system was shifting, truth was leaking. And then her phone buzzed. Sophia. We got something, her sister said, breathless. A message from someone who knows Jessica. Elena sat up straight. Who? A former client of her wellness program. She said Jessica isolates kids emotionally to gain devotion. She's willing to talk. Elena closed her eyes, heart pounding. Witnesses, patterns, history. The case was forming itself. Send me her number, Elena said. Because tomorrow she would begin arranging statements. And soon the truth wouldn't just come out, it would testify.